Even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed, that all men are created equal.
Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up, don't give up the fight.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rod's Views Live. You normally hear us on a Monday evening, but because we're getting close to the elections and we wanted to get some parties in that we needed to talk to assist you to decide who to vote for on the 29th of May, next Wednesday. Yes, it's next Wednesday. Lots of you have asked that we need to have a discussion with the Patriotic Alliance. And today we're doing that. So that's why I've got this special interaction with the Patriotic Alliance. And with one of their young guns who's representing their leader. So next Monday I will give you an indication of who I might put my cross, who I might vote for. I'll give you some indication in terms of guidance, things that should guide you, etc. Hopefully these interactions would have assisted you in that respect. But today we're talking to the Patriotic Alliance, and we're talking to, as I said, a young gun, Cheslyn Steenberg. Cheslyn is representing their leader, Gayton McKenzie. He's probably all over the show. Cheslyn will tell us where he is if he wants to. He's 31 years old. He's a secretary of the PA in the Cape Metro, and he's also the chief whip of the Patriotic Alliance in the city of Cape Town. I think he's a ward councillor of Kensington.
Yeah.
So Cheslyn, tell us a bit about yourself, and give us an indication why you joined the PA.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I want to greet everybody that's watching this podcast. I joined the PA because it was using a language I understand, and not necessarily the language as in detail, but they were speaking a language of how do we unite the people of South Africa. They were not using the language of division, ons en julle. In the PA, we stand for everybody and not only for a particular sect within society. We don't only stand for the colored or the black or the white. We stand for everybody. So we cannot be deemed a colored party, but a colorful party. So that is why I joined the Patriotic Alliance. The second reason for joining the Patriotic Alliance was we are speaking our truth. And if you look at other political parties, you would see that they are speaking what the funder tells them to say. And so, because I am, and you you started out to say I'm a young gun. Yes. So I don't like to be boxed. I don't like to be told what to say, because the moment we script one another, and besides the fact that we are politicians, but as individuals, as citizens, as members of society, of a church or a community where you live, we should express our position, the way we feel it. So if today we want to express our view on a matter, you must express it. And I have found that home in the Patriotic Alliance, irrespective of the fact that, our party leader Gayton McKenzie being a very unique character, and with all his history that he comes with, I was attracted to the party, not necessarily, to all the things that comes with the party, but what the party stands for.
Okay, we'll get back into some of those things, and you led me to it, so then I'll feel comfortable to ask some of those things. So what did you do before you became a politician?
I was actually working for the city of Cape Town.
Okay,
Yes.
you were an official.
Yes.
In what department, if I may ask?
I was in the project management unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the guys who knows everything.
Yes.
All the projects.
Yeah, all the big projects.
Okay. So let's talk a bit about your leader. He says he's a businessman, but he's now a full-time politician. It is common cause that he was a gangster, he was in prison, he came out, he became a self-made man, as he indicated, and thankfully he turned his life around. Do you know who gave him his break into business?
No, I actually don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be interesting. When I see him next,
I would have liked to have asked him.
I think later today I'll see him. I'll ask him.
Maybe he'll listen to this and he'll say, what kind of business is he in? Is he in mining or what else?
He's in mining. Yeah, he's in mining.
Only mining?
Mining, aviation. That
Okay.
is what he's into.
Mining, aviation. Aviation, very interesting. Because his good friend, Rob Hersoff, is in aviation. But we'll talk about Rob a bit later. So where does Gayton live? Does he live in Cape Town or in Joburg? Because I hear sometimes he says he's got a house in Constantia or something. Or where does he live?
I don't know exactly where he stays, but his address I would assume would be in Gauteng.
Is in Gauteng?
Yes.
So he's not a resident of Cape Town?
I don't know. I don't dig too deep into the personal life of the president.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So I see you guys formed the Patriotic Alliance in 2013,
Correct.
as I say, in Paarl.
November 2013.
So it wasn't formed before then.
No.
And he was integrally involved in forming it.
Correct.
Because there are some people who's telling the story that they were the instrumental and they handed it over to him. So that's an untruth.
Well, whoever's name is at the IEC, his name is there.
Okay.
So they need to maybe bring us that registration papers.
Can you tell us a bit about your leadership structure? I mean, I'm intrigued. I think quite a number of people, because we mostly hear him and Kenny Kuneni speak. I think it's probably one of the first times where someone else besides him speaking. So and then can you tell me what's your leadership structure? And when you answer that, how does there's a guy called Umbizo fit into the PA?
Yeah.
Because some people ask me to ask, because we ask people to give me questions and so on. Because he apparently came into prominence around the saga of the little girl Cheslyn on the West Coast. Hopefully we'll still find that girl alive. So tell us a bit about your leadership structure.
So the party has what we call the NEC, the National Executive Committee, that our president is heading. And then we have our PEC, our Provincial Executive Committee, that is led by Joseph Farmer within the Western Cape. And then we have our REC, that is the Cape Metro. And I'm speaking based on the regions now. In the Cape Metro, it is being led by Councillor Patriotic Hendricks. So you have your NEC, your PEC, and your REC. And then, of course, you have your ward structure.
Okay.
So that's the four structures we have in terms of leadership within the party.
Okay, how many people is in your PEC? I mean, not PEC, NEC.
We
The
have,
national structure. How many people does that consist of about?
I would say about 21 people.
Okay.
It could be less.
Okay.
But I know our REC
Yeah.
has about 25 people.
Okay. It's quite big.
Yeah, it's
Quite
big.
big.
It's quite big.
And this Umbizo,
So Umbiza is a normal member of the party, like any other patriot would be. And Umbiza basically took prominence because he comes with his own uniqueness. He has, I think he was a comedian in somewhere in Gauteng, and he became a member, and he became quite vocal, within on social media, in the community, pushing the conversation of politics, of service delivery, etc., etc. But moreover, holding officials accountable, politicians accountable, for that service delivery. He was a MMC within the city of Johannesburg. And of course, he's now basically on the campaign trail with the president.
Okay.
So
they go together.
Yes, they operate together.
Okay. Then there's another thing that I have to ask, is because your president regularly flies around in a private jet, and he says so publicly. Have you ever flown in that jet?
He does.
No, have you ever flown?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. And simply because I'm a ward councillor.
No, that's fine.
So, ek het die altyd tyd die.
Okay, nou is
Meneer
goed.
Ronte.
Net jy moet gaan werk vir die mense op die grond.
Yes.
So do you know who owns that jet? Does he own it, or does someone else own that jet?
The family business owns the jet.
Okay,
like
so
I said, they are in aviation and mining, so the family owns the jet.
Okay. So now I want to come on to that is about aviation and so on. What is the role of the businessman Rob Hersoff in the affairs of your party?
Rob has no business in the Patriotic Alliance. Even though Rob would love to have business with the Patriotic Alliance, President McKenzie was very clear when he indicated to Rob. He said to Rob, "Look, thank you for the suggestion of wanting to give us money. Thank you for the offer, but no, thank you." And then Rob understood it. He explained to Rob, "Look, the only reason we don't want money from external individuals is simply because we don't want to be dictated to as a political party as to what we must say, what our policy positions ought to be, who we may work with, who we must not work with, And as you would know, that funders would come, and Press was very clear on this when he said, funders came and funders indicated, we will give you money, but you shouldn't contest in the Western Cape. And so Rob knows his position within our hearts. We as patriots, we know who he is. He's friends with the president of the party, but he is not a funder or even a supporter in any way, shape or form of the Patriotic Alliance.
Okay. So I want to follow up on that earlier around the business thing. So because we know that Rob Hersoff is very involved in mining, and is also very involved in aviation, and he had a run-in with the previous government around aviation, or this government, but when Zuma was in charge. And now your president is in mining and in aviation. So they're not business part. Besides, forget about now whether he influences PA or whatever. Are they business partners, or you don't know?
I don't know the nitty-gritties of that particular relationship, but I can tell you that the president met Rob way after he built himself up as to where he is now. So they basically met because of their mutual interest, and their existing businesses. So I would say there's no real link. Okay,
so and you would know as well, because you're on the ground, that people are generally peeved off with political parties. What makes a PA different? And I heard that you said earlier on that the PA, and I read in your manifesto that the PA was born in the heart of the colored community, that you said, but you say you are also multiracial.
Correct.
In your document. But if one hear your president speak publicly, or even Kunene, then one don't get that sense that there's a sense that the PA is focusing on the colored vote.
Which I would say, of course, if you look at social media and you look at what the president says and where he says it and how he says it, it can be even misinterpreted. But we are very clear. Our constitution is clear. Our manifesto is clear, and it's also evident in our leadership. So if you go and look at from NEC right down to our REC, we are a diverse group of individuals. From members, black, white, colored, Indian.
So you guys got white people also part of the PA?
Most definitely. Our head of negotiations is a white man.
Okay.
Charles Salia. Our head of legal services, Eugene Botha, is a white man. Our provincial treasurer here in the Western Cape, Michelle Botha, is a white female. Our deputy president is a black man. And so I can call the leaders out. So I totally understand what you are saying, but we are getting there. We are trying really to even to a certain extent, push out that script to say, let us,
Can I just follow up on maybe it's light-hearted, maybe it's a bit deeper. Depends how you take on it. That where you said the roles of this one and that one and that one. Don't make the mistake that giving all the white people the strategic jobs in your party, because this is what you mentioned now. Those are strategic positions, and those are all occupied by white people. But
definitely. Look, they are surrounded by a diverse group of people that works with them. They are simply heading that respective role.
Okay.
So ultimately, the decisions are made by the NEC.
Okay. Then another thing that I had to ask you is because I want to get into the manifesto and some of the issues is some is saying that the PA is just a vehicle for your leader to position in himself as a savior for the colored people and to clean up his money and to use his proximity to get into politics, national government or provincial government, to advance his private interests. What would you say to that, those who say that?
Sometimes as individuals, we really misuse our right to express our opinions, To make such a statement is really far-fetched because Gayton could have used his money and, splash it on everyday life in Dubai, vandag hier, and then tomorrow in somewhere else, or just grow his businesses. But he has opted to use his own money, in the Patriotic Alliance, to grow the party and ultimately be a contender in this election, a contender against DA and the ANC, simply to show the citizens of this country that there is hope. The narrative that is being pushed that there is no hope, especially when it comes to the DA, to say that they are the saviors and the rescuers of this country, is a false narrative. So I can't see how Gayton would want to parachute himself into a position of power per se, because he has already power. He owns mines. He has access, to resources that some politicians don't even have access to.
Okay.
So, to be very blunt, I would say, if I had to be president, if I had to be Gayton, I would never run for president. That's malachite. To carry the almost 60 million people on your shoulders is crazy.
Yeah.
But then he is also standing as candidate for premier in the Western Cape, a few million people that he needs to then look after if he becomes premier. That's malachite.
Yeah.
I sometimes ask myself, Yeri, why did I stand as ward councillor? And I only have a population of about 40,000 people. But no, I don't think that Gayton is doing this because he has any ill intent or even want to parachute into power. He has and he's worked hard and he's still working hard. And I think we should appreciate that he's wanting to share his resources.
We'll get back later on about the candidacy for president and premier and so on. So there are some, and you mentioned you touched that on that some who are saying that voting for a party like yours is a waste of time. You guys are a popcorn party, or they call parties like yours names, and they say that your leader is just about making noise and pulling stunts that he does with the support of his backers, and his backers remain behind the scenes. What's your view to those who say that a vote for you guys is a waste of time, and your leader is a stunt man?
No, I think Gayton McKenzie is really changing the political landscape. The political landscape in the sense that he's challenging the status quo. He is challenging the way we think, he is challenging the way we operate, and he is changing the narrative that only a established organization, like the established political parties, they can do it, which is not true. We need to note and remember that when Gayton became mayor in Beaufort West, that municipality was already in ruins. Ek wil amper sê, that municipality was on its way into the crematorium. But when Gayton went there,
not into the grave, but into the crematorium.
Ons brand hom uit daar, so kan nie plekke in die graf hê. There was no toilets for the people.
Yeah.
People were using pit toilets. When he came there within his year, and he made a very bold commitment to say, within this year, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And he did that. He had a fundraiser, raised money, and he's reported it to that respective council. He's been able to build toilets, flushing toilets, to be exact. So that is one of the things that I would want to mention to you. When people say Gayton or want to allege Gayton is a stunt man, I would say no, he's not a stunt man. He is simply changing the way we operate as citizens of this country, because we have seen how our police, for example, if someone goes missing, they would tell the family, come back tomorrow. Cheslyn went missing. When Gayton went there, all the resources was made available. But that people, before he went there, the police was simply, as ook maar nog 'n kind wat weg is. When Cheslyn went there, when Gayton went there to Saldanha, all the resources was deployed. And the media. So, nope, Gayton is not a stunt man. I think Gayton makes things happen. In my head, I would say he's a genie to a certain extent, because where he goes, he's simply activating resources.
So, well done on your rally at Athlone Stadium, by the way.
Thank you very much.
It's one of the few times I've gone to the Athlone Stadium, many times. One of the few times that I've actually seen it so packed.
Definitely.
On all sides.
Yes.
So it must have cost quite a bit to bring the people in, the T-shirts, the food and all of that stuff, the sound and the music. But well done.
Thank you.
I think hopefully it will translate into votes. Let's see.
Most definitely.
Then I read through your, I think, 36-page document, 32 or 36?
37.
Okay. So what page did I miss?
You probably missed the last one.
The last where there's nothing on, but in any case, I read through that, which you guys call your turnaround strategy.
Correct.
I think it makes some interesting reading, I must tell you. You talk about the brain drain, doing away with racial categorization is a big thing that I was surprised to see it there. About the ocean economy, education, identifying talent, even views around the banking system that must be changed, trade unionism, and even adherence to the Bill of Rights. The key question, however, is whether, before I get to the key question, it seems reasonable if one looks at it critically, But the key question is whether some of those things are actually implementable. And what is written in that, your turnaround strategy, don't always square up with what your president or your deputy president say in public. So what must we believe? Your turnaround strategy document or what they say in public?
Yeah, look, unfortunately, we can't script leaders.
But remember, he's part of an NEC of 25 or 21 people, as
Correct.
you said.
And we are meandering, that particular challenge when it comes to
What they say.
What they say, and it's a difficult one. But we have learned as party leaders to really embrace our leaders. So we don't really make a hoo-ha about it. That is why I'm here today, to give clarity, on certain things. But I think it's important to make the following statement, that South Africans is not stupid people. Hulle is nie dommie. So whatever narrative is pushed in whatever way, by whomever, our people actually read, So you would have people and the saviors of this country and this province and maybe also the city, as they want to paint themselves, want to create this picture that the PA doesn't have a plan. This 37-page document is our plan. It is our turnaround strategy. You would also find within the first 100 days exactly what we are going to do.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So what sets your manifesto apart from the others? Some people would say all these manifestos are blah, blah, blah. You say people must read. I have a thing that I don't think people read enough, and I don't read enough to question it. And you guys, as you said, you guys might have experience in local government. I mean, you guys have got over 80, almost 90 people, councillors throughout South Africa. You now in council, you spoke about your leader, what he did within a year, but then he left. There's also a question, why did he leave? So you guys got that experience, right? And then you guys, at the end, you guys got like 6 big things that you would do in terms of your thing. So you got all of that experience. You actually don't have really experience in national or provincial government, etc. So there's a view that you might have a plan, but you'd find that it's actually not so easy to run a national or provincial government. So you guys might do some kamikaze stuff when you get in there, and when it gets too hot in the kitchen, and then your president would leave again, as he did in Beaufort West. So what do you say about that your experience in government besides local government?
Look, the facts on the table is very clear. When the ANC took power in 1994, they were never in power. And that's a fact, because they took over from the NP government. What they did was they took people, skilled people from the NP government, and they also brought in their own comrades that was educated enough and so on. So they opened up the entire system and they said, we need these type of skills. You rightfully said that you read our manifesto. You would see there we make direct a mention of the fact that we will focus on people with skills. So we will recruit these people when we come into power.
Yeah.
So if we should come into power, we don't have necessarily, yes, you're right, we don't have the experience in provincial national government. But I can assure you now that a primary school teacher will not be the Minister of Education. I can assure you now that a taxi driver will not be the Minister of Police. We will make sure that you have a doctor as a Minister of Health, a police officer as a Minister of Police, a soldier as a Minister of Defense, a teacher, an educator, a Minister of Education. So you're 100% right. So we are not oblivious or ignorant to that reality. The second thing I want to answer is that Gayton was very clear when he was inaugurated, in Beaufort West, he said to the coalition partners, he was very clear. He said, look, I'm going to stay here for a year. This is my commitments. I'm going to work on my commitments. And after my year, then I'm going to leave. He has done that. So he did not leave because, he couldn't implement, or he was uncommitted, or, all of that. He has taken a particular position. He did what he had to do. He did his accountability into Huawei. Simply because and why he did that was with the view, elections is coming up. I want to be on the ground. I cannot be bound to an office as a mayor or any other office and not be on the ground. You can see his schedule. He's all over the place. That's why he's not here today.
Okay. So we want to now get into some global stuff and national stuff and so on. But before we do that, I just want to conclude this point that's also been raised with me, is that you guys are Gayton and Kenny party, and in spite of your NEC that you say that's 25 or 21 people, 25, say 25, and when many of the experienced people, when they fall out with your leader, they leave. What's your response to that?
The party doesn't belong to Gayton.
Okay.
The party doesn't belong to Kenny. It belongs to each and every patriot that signed up and that has a PAT number. And so...
A what number?
A PAT number.
What's a PAT number?
A PAT number.
What's a PAT?
It's a PAT number. It's a short for Patriotic Alliance.
Membership number.
Yeah.
Oh, membership number. Okay.
Membership number.
Okay. A PAT number.
En ons betaal ook nie vir ons memberships by ander parties. Ons maak nie geld van ons mense nie, want ons mense het klaar nie eens broodgeld nie.
Okay.
But that said, let me answer the question. This party doesn't belong to Gayton McKenzie, nor does its party belong to Kenny Kunene, nor does its party even belong to me. This party belongs to each and every patriot that's part of this party. If I disagree with a member in this party, whether it's Gayton, whether it's the SG, Chanel Stevens, whether it is whoever, it is... I can choose, gaan ek bly of gaan ek loop? And if I leave, I leave. But it cannot be this hoo-ha, and the advocate now left, of the ward council now left. Nee, I'm within my right to leave. But that's all right, because what we lack, advocate, many of us as individuals, is the emotional intelligence to understand that we're gonna have differences, In a marriage, if you disagree with your wife or your husband, you can't then just say, ek gaan nou divorce. There's a process. You talk about it. We discuss and you say, I'm not happy with X. I'm not happy with B. For a classic example, as patriots in the Patriotic Alliance, we said to the president, your position on Palestine, this is our position. As individuals, we said, I am standing with the people of Palestine. What is happening in Palestine is a genocide. They are being murdered every single day. And therefore, I support the fact that the warrant of arrest was applied for against Benjamin Netanyahu and his cronies. And so the president said to us, including Christians and Muslims, he said, guys, I understand. No one walked away. You get what I'm saying? So the Patriotic Alliance is not the place when we disagree. Then Gayton comes and he says, we're demoting you. Or, you can, jy kan maar loop as jy nie happy is met my particular. You get what I'm saying? It is individuals who make that personal decision, to say, ek ruk my nou op, ek is happy met wat hier aangaan nie, dan loop ek. But moreover, advocate, we need to understand, this party is 10 years old. And any process of growth will be difficult. Yes, we don't have all the beautiful things and all the budgets and this grandigheid that other parties have, and that is okay. We need to then, who's here now, need to work on it and grow it, implement it. For example, there's no template for minutes and the NGO just started. You're going to go and Google and you create your own template and then move on. But we can't ruk ourselves up and say, Vader, hierdie, waar het ek my nou ingelaat? Ek wil
ek my nog gaan.
Nee, dit werk nie.
So let's then move on to the issue of Palestine and Russia and Ukraine as well, because people always put the two against each other. You mentioned now what is your position, but we now also know what is the position of your president. So what is then the PA position? Because understanding is, and your president argues that we should focus our resources on South Africa and not so much energy on Palestine and so on. So what's the PA position on what's going on in the Middle East, in Palestine and Israel?
We are very clear. We are crystal clear when it comes to what's happening right there. We are calling for a two-state solution. And I know individuals will say, but this, but that. We are calling for a two-state solution. We are saying that Palestine must exist within their own right. We are also further saying that Israel must exist within its own right. We cannot go in there and be oblivious, to what is happening there. In fact, we are also saying that this conflict did not start on the 7th of October or whenever it started about a year ago. It het altyd het begin, And for many years, our leaders turned a blind eye. And in the Patriotic Alliance, we will touch on the sensitive topics. We will touch on the uncomfortable topics. We must. So Gayton has taken a particular position because that is what he believes. He's a Christian. He's a born-again Christian, and we understand and we respect that. And he too understands the position of individuals within the Patriotic Alliance.
So there's on Israel and Palestine, there's in a position of McKenzie, the leader, and then there's a position of some of the membership. So there's no clarity yet what is the PA position.
The PA position, like I've said to you, is we are calling for a two-state solution.
But he says something else.
Yeah. Hy moet dan tot orde geroep word.
So roep jy daarmee hulle vir hom tot orde roep?
And we are very clear on that. And we have already spoken about that. And I think he also made mention that his position as Gayton McKenzie, is that he stands with a particular
But is he
group.
not going to cost you guys votes? Especially in the Western Cape?
I think whatever a person does, can cost a vote. Whether today he would say he recognizes the LGBTQI or not, will cost him a vote, or whatever the case might be. So of course it's politics. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. You will make people happy, and you will make other people not so happy, and that is fine. But I think we really need to keep an open mind, to these things.
That's an interesting dilemma that your party is wrestling with.
It is an interesting one, and it is an unfortunate one, but the party is very clear on what it stands for.
Some in the party, as you indicated.
No, the party is clear. It is a two-state solution. Kenny and Gayton, that is their position.
So they don't speak for the party when they talk?
No, they cannot speak if the party has taken a particular position with regards to that.
How do you think South Africa should position itself to the rest of the African continent?
With regards to this?
No. Just how should we position ourselves to the rest of the continent? Because we're part of Africa. So how should we interact with the rest of Africa?
In a developmental sense, or have we now moved from the Israel issue?
No, we moved from the Israel issue.
Look, I think South Africa, being a developing country, we are quite ahead when it comes to development and progress. We should position ourselves, as a country that would assist our fellow, countries and neighboring countries with whatever they need, water, electricity, technology, etc., health. But what we should also not forget is that South Africa shouldn't play the big brother role here, as if they are, the alpha and omega, the beginning and the end, because they are not. If you look at Rwanda and how they have, managed to deal with their waste, and even their healthcare. If you look at Botswana, if you look at Namibia, and what they bring to the table, it is a very heartwarming view. It is very beautiful to see. So South Africa should really be that country that is willing to learn, but also to teach, you know. And I think that would be important instead of wanting to be the country that would want to perpetuate, we've arrived, or us now, we are not.
Okay. Let's get to some of the issues here locally. One of the big issues in this country, in this province, is unemployment. It's a massive issue. What do you guys in the PA say needs to be done to address it? And what would you guys do should you get into government?
Look, we are looking at, you mentioned it in your introduction about the brain drain. How do we retain what we have, How do we hold on to the skills and the expertise and so on? And so we have said a few things. One of it would be our training and development, to keep you here. We would look at how can the salaries increase? But moreover, in terms of jobs, we are saying we are not going to offer people jobs. Kom gooi jou CV in, kom apply for die post nie. No, we are saying we will focus on business. Business in the sense we will assist people to start up their business, to develop the business, and of course support the business financially and in other ways as well, so that the businesses, can ultimately create the opportunity for employment. We are also not directly focusing on apply for a job here, apply for a job there. We will cut the red tape, the access to resources within government. To open a business and run a business and make things much easier for businesses, to operate. A business should not take a full 30 days, advocate, to have all the necessary permits in place and their SARS stuff in place and their CIPRO stuff in place and their, health certificates, etc., etc. It should take less than 7 days, give or take, Funding must be readily available for businesses. So the PA stance is very clear. We just want to open up the doors and throw out, the red carpet for people that wants to start up businesses within our country.
Okay. Then another big issue is crime. What will you guys do to make sure that people feel safe in their communities and in this country? And what's your views? Tell people what's your views about parole and the death penalty. It's quite clear what your view about the death penalty. Maybe
Correct.
People haven't read it.
Correct.
But please tell us that.
Laat ek sommer met 'n idee inval.
Yes.
The PA would call for the death penalty to return. But we know when people say, the death penalty must come back, some people would become defensive and say, hoe kan jy nou iemand anders doodmaak? And, it's not ethical and all of that. We are simply saying, for certain crimes, we will introduce a death penalty. And of course, the death penalty should really be the last resort. There should be that rehabilitation. There should be that process, that journey that has taken place before we get to the death penalty. But we are very clear on the death penalty. But the death penalty is also a type of you kill, you will be killed. And so a criminal will think twice to kill because he knows or she knows that he or she will be killed. Or ek gaan maar nie daar nie because, ek kan gehang word of wat ook al die geval is.
Okay.
But more so, our plan is we're very clear on our plan. How will we deal with crime? We are looking at that particular aspect holistically. Community intelligence is very important. And so as police officers, you would go into a community blind if you are oblivious to community intelligence. CPFs, their role in society is very important. And so funding and the support in general for community police fora is important, including neighborhood watches. Neighborhood watches must be supported holistically to ensure that their function in society is really a functioning exercise. But then I also want to add that when we deal with crime, you need to deal with the root cause. Our people is unemployed. Our people live in backyards. That is why they now squat in open fields, because the yard is too clean. Our schools are not functioning properly. The education system is not working. The health system is not working. We are living from een hand na die ander hand, from one day to the other day. We are living from one grant to the other grant. And so we cannot directly just say, what we're going to do about crime. We need to deal with all the other things. So we need to do preventative measures, We need to also talk about that the PA will make sure that funding for NPOs, NGOs, CBOs, PBOs will be increased. So your organizations, your FAMSs, your SENCOs, your COOs, these organizations working in our communities, with whatever programs they are running, we must see, how do we improve our funding for these organizations? How do we improve our support as government, for these organizations, so that at the end of the day, crime, that's ultimately the road everything leads to, don't increase. But more so, police officers. We will really look at our visible policing, the type of vehicles that is being used. Because right now, ry die officials in die ronde met vehicles wat die regtig combat ready is. As 'n ou nou by vehicle skiet, hy skiet dwars deur die vehicle en injure hy die officer, We will look at the type of weapons our police officers carry. A 9mm compared to a AK-47 that the criminal will use on a police officer as malligheid.
So they must use AK-47?
Not necessarily, but we need, of course, as you know, Gayton McKenzie is a man wat die nonsense wat hy sê is an eye for an eye when it comes to criminals and crime. So you would want to come with heavy artillery. The state must come with heavy artillery. We need to look at our detectives. Did you know that on average a detective has about 350 dockets that he needs to deal with? And then the world will say, society will say, my case was nie geresolve nie. Het gaan nooit geresolve word thoroughly of hoe ons het wil hê nie, because the detective is overworked. And so we will look at that. We will further look at the specialized units, that was taken away, under the ANC regime. We will have to relook that. We will have to also look at establishing a gender-based violence focused court, because many a times those dockets just falls by the wayside.
Okay.
But moreover, our criminal labs must be looked at, because you have rape kits that is laying there.
The forensic labs and so on.
We need to. It's important because cases are delayed. So the Patriotic Alliance will really do an holistic response to crime and not only focus on crime. In fact, if we are able to bring crime down to where it is now, from where it is now, our focus will really be our education, especially education, and our housing. Housing is important. If you go now to the Cape Flats, if you go to Khayelitsha and Yanga, Manenberg and Novo Park, Bonteheuwel, you would find even in Mitchell's Plain, also mense lewe letterlik op mekaar. 15 in a huis. I don't know how many siblings you have, advocate, but you would be able to say that when you grew up, 9 people in a room, 10 people in a room, jy daar my kous, ek daar jou, en so het maar gegaan.
Tell me a bit your position on foreigners, because you guys are quite clear and your leader is quite clear. The day after the election, you guys throw the foreigners out of the country.
Yes.
Is that the PA position?
Yes. Abahambe.
So how are you going to get them out?
We will deport them. All illegal foreign nationals will be deported back to their countries of origin. Simply because.
So our courts will be flooded with cases where people go to court. So if people go to court opposing this, are you guys going to disregard that and just deport them?
No. our position will be within the confines of the constitution of this country.
Okay, so let me just, I just wanna follow up on that.
Yes.
Because you guys are saying the day after the elections, foreigners are thrown out. And you also say it must be done within the confines of the Constitution.
Correct.
So people will assert their rights in terms of the law. They'll go to court.
Correct.
They might keep you guys busy in court for a while. So they can't then be thrown out the next day.
But as you know, special courts can be created. And that is exactly what will be done.
How long will it take to create a special court?
You were advocate.
Who creates a special court?
You, the advocate.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
would know how long it takes.
It takes long.
And we're well aware of that particular process.
So I just want to let me just assist you. It's going to take long because the Chief Justice must create, there must be legislation, all of that stuff. So your promise of foreigners being thrown out the next day can't then be realized. Your strong promise.
Well, you're right when
It's
you
a
say that.
strong promise.
The position of the Patriotic Alliance is very clear. That if you're an illegal foreign national, you will be mass deported. We are clear on the processes that we are going to take. There is a process in place. There's a legal process in place. There's what we would deem international law that is also having to be regarded for this particular exercise. And we will abide by that. Maybe the next day will be a bit far-fetched. But the fact is, all illegal foreign nationals will leave this country under our watch within the confines of the law.
Okay. Then let's talk a bit about, and you mentioned the issue about gender-based violence
Yes,
and how women and girls are treated.
correct.
What's your view about that? And give me an indication of how many women are in your leadership structure, percentage-wise, and how many is on your candidate list.
Correct. So our leadership structure in the NEC, we have the SG that is a female. We have the deputy SG that is a female. We have the Youth League president that's female. The Women's League president is female. There's a whole host of them. So I would say about 50%, of our leadership in total from NEC to REC would be female. And so our position on the gender-based violence issue is also very clear, that we're not going to allow our women and children to be abused under our watch. That is a space we are not willing to negotiate. In terms of the position that we are taking, is that we will create specialized courts to deal with gender-based violence issues, because as you know, advocate, that our normal courts right now is really flooded, with your drug type of cases, your attempted murders, your house robberies, your assaults, your murders, etc., etc. And this particular, crime takes the backstage.
Okay.
It really takes the backstage. So we are clear on that.
So you guys will prioritize.
We are
that.
prioritizing that, and we will ensure that we protect, the rights of women and children. But moreover, advocate, we also have men, that has scars of gender-based violence. So we should not only focus on the female aspect, of the gender-based violence part.
Corruption. It's a big issue in this country. It's a huge issue. But let's be practical. There's a serious allegation of corruption. It's not just a whispering story. There's some serious evidence and so on against a senior member of your party, even against maybe your leader or your deputy leader or anybody senior. What will the Patriotic Alliance position be about that?
In the PA, we don't believe in entertaining corruption. And let me tell you why. It's as a seer. The moment we allow corruption, to wreak its head wherever, in whichever level of the party, be it national, provincial, or even local, we will deal with him. So no leader is excluded or beyond approach. They will be dealt with. If it means, if allegations are made against even Gayton McKenzie for being corrupt, we need to deal with him. There's policies and processes within the party that we need to deal with. And if we are in government, the same thing will happen there. We will have to deal with him. The Hawks will be supported, structure units like the Hawks, units like the SSIU, the SIU, Hawk units that deals with the corruption will be even better resourced, Okay. And we're not going to wait for the president to give approval for certain things. If you have evidence as a unit, we need to operate, execute.
Okay. I see the other thing in your manifesto is you guys are quite big about a capable state. I see in your manifesto the leaders say there's a lot of consultants and advisors and so on, not people really doing the work. So you guys are really big about capable state and encouraging people to come back and to work and so on. So what will you guys do to get the best people in government, whether it's provincial or national government, or is there a sense that they must have a PAT or they must be a PA supporter in some way or the other?
Look, we are clear about the capable state, because you see, a capable state ultimately results in service delivery. A capable state ultimately results in the economy working and the people of this country, being lifted out of poverty. But more so, a capable state will ensure that each household has a job. And that would mean that each household can contribute to the economy, they have food on their table, and they are a thriving family or even a thriving community. And so when we recruit these individuals, they don't have to have a PAT number, because it's not about empowering members of the Patriotic Alliance here. It's about creating a capable state. It's about ensuring that South Africa works, the Western Cape works, Cape Town works.
Okay. Talk to me about the land question. People getting the land back. What is your party's position about that? I see your leader, he talks quite a bit about it. So I wanted to know whether what he's saying is what's your party's position.
Our people will never be free if their land is not returned. And I would want to tell you that I personally have no experience of what apartheid was like. I was born in 93.
Okay.
I was a pikkie then. Ek was nog op die berg, ek was nog in die...
So it was a pikkie nie, there was nog niks. You were born in 93?
Yeah, a year later you had elections. So ek was nog op die berg, soos my oma sal sê.
Okay.
But I think what's important is two things. One, we can't say we are free if we don't have our land, because it's within our land, it's on our land, it's under our land, that we can find that resources, that we can build, that we can grow, that we can progress as a people, we can thrive as a society. And so the party would be even in a better position when it's in government to give the land back where the land was stolen from.
Okay.
And we are clear on that.
So you guys are agreeing that there must be land without expropriation?
No.
And land without compensation?
No. We are saying the government will buy the land back, and give it back to where it belongs. Because simply, you have people that has no land, they have no home. That's why we have the Cape Flats. Ons mense lewe op mekaar. But if they have their land, they are able to. We are as a government will be able to build a plot and say to the people, there's your plot, there's your services, water, electricity, sanitation, bou jou plekkie vir jou eie familie.
So let me just follow up on that. So government must buy the land and give it to if people were thrown out or they lost their land, etc. So this farmer's got the land and he got the land back in the day, you may know they got the land for next to nothing. Or for
1
free.
rand.
1 rand. So he got the land for 1 rand. But now the government wants to resettle that community that was kicked out of there. This farmer wants 50 million for that rand. Must the government pay that 50 million?
Never. I think if you would make Gayton the head of that negotiations,
What would the farmer get?
It will be an interesting one. But I can tell you, it would really have to be we have to keep an open mind when it comes to that. You know.
So
you were saying.
it's not as blanket.
It is not as blank. It is also not as easy. You know, to just get the land back, or even to take land from people without compensation. So at a fair market value, we will buy back the land.
Okay.
If we have to.
Let's talk a bit about the Western Cape now. You know, the Western Cape, we got about 15 minutes, I think. Is that good with you?
No problem.
You know, the divide between the rich and the poor and black and white in this province is stark, as you should know. What would the Patriotic Alliance do to bridge that divide?
We need to understand what caused the divide. And the divide was caused by the haves and have-nots, because not all our people have access to the economy. Okay? If you look at the trawler that sank a few days ago,
Yes.
go look at who was that people. Just go look. And then you look at who was the owner of that trawler. See how it is. And if you look at who the people is that would benefit from that trawler.
But Sea Harvest is a black empowered company as well.
That is what, now you see, now that is where we have the problem. Because these companies is created apparently by black people and colored people. But go look at, gaan kyk behind the scenes. Gaan kyk wie regtig die owners is. And so under a Patriotic Alliance government, that nonsense won't fly under our leadership. We will not, ons speel nie vir hy team nie. We will
What's the team is there?
die team wat die nonsense entertain, om te sê the status quo must remain, that the white man must be in charge, that these people who have access to the economy and all levels of economy will remain in charge, not under our leadership. But we are very sorry. We are not like the ANC that says to the DA, you can keep the Western Cape, but we'll take the other 8 provinces, not under our leadership. We will trade where they are scared to trade, and we will access resources and economies that they are scared to access, and our people will access it. And so you should not actually be surprised when a exodus takes place from our townships and into affluent communities.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
most definitely.
Okay.
And we might not own the properties now. Ons kan so lang rent if we have to rent. But the point is the PA will give access to that particular opportunities.
Okay. What's your view about you guys coming to the Western Cape? That the Western Cape government is clamoring to get more powers from national government. Is a PA, what's a PA's view on that?
The PA believes in a constitutional and a democracy. A constitutional setup and the democracy that we have all fought for. It cannot be right that we want to come and implement this federal type of governance here. This is not the United States of America. If the DA wants to run the country like that or the province like that, they need to then go set up their own type of Orania across the waters, but not here. Because South Africa has a history that it has embraced, and we understand, and we celebrate it every year on Freedom Day. We celebrate it on the 27th of March, of April every year. We celebrate the Human Rights Day, and now the DA wants to come here and tell us, no, we are better than them. Better than who? Better than Ba. So you are saying to us that we require a passport now to come into the Western Cape if you have family that lives elsewhere. So no, the PA does not support the independence of a Western Cape.
So let's talk a bit about coalitions, because it's my contention and I think a contention of a few other people. that I don't think any party is going to get an outright majority in this province, including the DA, in spite of what they are saying. So, because of your history in coalitions, like you guys had in Joburg, where else did you guys have coalitions?
We currently have in Joburg a coalition government. We have in Beaufort West.
Beaufort West and a few other, Joburg, Neisner, and some of those.
Yes.
Because of your history of that, and where you had to do deals with the ANC and the EFF, some say that you will do a deal with the ANC and MK after the elections, or and the EFF. And others say that because of the influence of Rob Hersoff, and that you guys are also funded by backers who are funding the DA. And in fact, I heard this personally, that your leader was on record for the 1 minute saying that he's not part of the Moonshot Pact when it was initiated. And then the next minute, I think it was in Biz News or something, he said, if Zille and Steenhuisen lose their arrogance, the PA would be part of that multi-party pact or whatever it is called. And then he regularly sings the praises of Mashaba, of Action SA, and of Mulder of the Freedom Front Plus. But lately he's gone hard. You guys have gone hard at the DA. And the DA has also gone hard at you with the recent adverts and so on. Some people are saying, is this just not an eye blind to confuse us? Because ultimately, the influence of Hersoff and so on, and if no one gets, so I want to get to this, if no one gets a majority in this Western Cape, who will you guys work with? I also heard he was saying he's prepared to work with some of the smaller parties and so on. So, who will you guys work with?
Currently, we are not in talks with any political party with regards to coalition governments. If there should be a decision made with regards to any coalition things, discussions or anything like that, it would have to take place with the NEC. And unfortunately, the party leader is part of a NEC, and he will have to take his cue from the NEC. Yes, you're right when you say that we have gone hard at the DA, and they have attempted to go hard on the PA. Because they're hard on the PA, and like you have said, they're going at us, being purported, really is not going at us. They have actually, and we want to thank them today. I want to thank the DA for the 44 million rand budget that they have spent on the PA.
44 million, yes, just on you guys?
44 million was spent on us. You can speak to Mamzil. She will maybe give you another total, but that is what we heard. Because people have now come to us, and we have thousands of people joining us every day and saying, we've heard about you. And now vrouws we know, nobody dear. So we want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the radio ads. Thank you for the SMSs. Thank you for all that flyers and the posters they are printing on behalf of the PA. Because we don't have money for all of that. But let me say, we are not in talks with any partners, coalition, political parties or anything like that, because we are not there yet. We are not at the point where there's results now and we can now engage. We want an outright majority. So ons gaan nie nou vir ons al klaar in die verloor kan sit nie. We want to win the Western Cape.
So you guys don't win it, who will you?
So
you guys will talk to all of them?
I can't answer that because I'm not part of that discussions. But what I can tell you is we are working very hard, and each and every patriot is working very hard to make sure that we get each and every voter out there to vote for the Patriotic Alliance. So The collision talks thing is not on the table. We've not engaged any political party on that matter. So there is no position formally or officially from the Patriotic Alliance side.
Okay. Although, let's move off from that. The Western, I call it the Western Cape question, where the coloureds are in a majority here and a minority in South Africa. What is the Patriotic Alliance's view about dealing with that Western Cape question?
You would know that for years, for I would say for the last 30 years, if not more. As people, we've been told who to vote for. Jy gaan vote vir hulle, jy gaan vote vir hulle. Now is really a time for us to vote for ourselves. And it's a fact. We have voted for the white man, we have now voted for the black man, and we have now an opportunity to vote for the colored man, which is Gayton McKenzie. And that opportunity is given to the people of the Western Cape to be led by a party that is capable to lead. We have the plan that, we believe will change the way things are done in the Western Cape, not only for the minority, but for the majority of the people, because the majority of the people in this province is colored people. And then, the realities on the ground that we are facing is that we have the majority of our people living in squalor, living in, ek wil amper sê, living in their own filth, So our plan is a very simple plan. And we are not here and coming to purport that we are the saviors of the Western Cape, because we're not the saviors of the Western Cape. We will never be the saviors of anything or anyone. Only Christ is our savior. So we are very clear on that. Was this so arrogant to say we are here to save you? We are now Superman. What nonsense is this? We are simply saying that we are here to turn around the Western Cape for the better, for everybody in the Western Cape in particular. Let me be very clear on that. Even though we are also clear that the majority of the residents of the Western Cape is colored, we are not excluding white people. We are not excluding black people. We are not excluding Indian people. And I'm calling it out for what it is, because that is the terminology our government still uses. You colored, you black, you Indian, you white. We are saying we recognize, we understand the diversity. But it's time now that everyone eats. Okay. En dat onze mense nie die krummels net kry wat van die tafel afval.
Okay. So I'm almost done. So I see you guys have got a 100-day action plan. Quite interesting. I see you guys have a... Moet jy gaan lees aan, jy gaan maar kyk wat daar op is. But give me an idea of the 5 immediate practical things a PA-led government would do in the Western Cape.
5 of the immediate things.
3 or 5, if you can't get to 5.
One would be the access to finance. And now we are speaking directly to businesses. Do you know how difficult it is to start a business here? Alan Winde will tell you, we've created 300,000 jobs in last year. Die matrikulant met die naam van John Steenhuisen always says, we created 300,000 jobs. But who created that? And who benefited from that 300,000 jobs? So it will be under Patriotic Alliance leadership that we will basically introduce the access to finance. We will also do the focus on lack of innovation. And there we will focus, on grant funding for businesses, small SMMEs, and see how we can draw on them. Simply because, like I said earlier, if you don't have a job in a household, you're gonna give access to crime.
So that's one thing, access to finance to support small business. What else?
The next thing is our focus on policing.
What would you do around policing?
Our focus on policing, we will immediately look at our visible policing. This is our men and women on the ground. Look at what they need in terms of resources. Look at our detectives, and see how we can assist them as well.
Okay.
We will then also look at our education and the funding that has been given to that.
But what about education?
Look, currently you have about 60 learners in a class. You have underpaid and overworked teachers. In our first 100 days, we are going to reinstate the teachers that was all fired, that the DA fired not too long ago. We will look at how do we innovate classrooms and give them better resources, and not only give to certain schools, but give all schools. We will look at how do we support educators within the education sector, HODs, principals, deputy principals, the support staff, and so on, to give us a better output at the end of the day. Because the reality is these kids will have to go tertiary institutions, you know.
Is there anything else you want to add? Final one?
Did I mention healthcare?
Health, no?
Healthcare. Let's talk about the rural healthcare. We will deal with the rural healthcare as in yesterday. We will introduce the rapid response team, and we'll see how do we fix existing hospitals within our rural communities, and also give them mobile clinics. We will then also look at how do we review the legislation, you know, to ensure that this can be done. But moreover, we will see how do we improve our relationship between the private and the public sector with regards to healthcare. We will also establish a substance abuse healthcare center across the Western Cape, and moreover across the country. And when we say substance abuse, it's self-explanatory, because we have a lot of people dependent on substance abuse. I've made mention of our mobile clinics, and we're going to relook how can the NHI work for the people. And
I wanted to ask you, amplify, what's your position on the NHI?
We're very clear on that. We are not saying the NHI will never ever work. We are saying, is the time right for the NHI now?
So you guys support the NHI, but you're just asking whether it is now.
The time is not right now, simply because we have not exhausted the skills within society for the healthcare in general, the resources, accountability, you know, all of that. We've not exhausted that. We're now jumping the gun, you know, to a first world country. We're not there yet.
Okay. Can I ask, interesting, I see your leader is both a presidential candidate and he's a premier candidate. So what if a miracle happens?
Speak it into existence, please.
Yeah, I'll speak it into existence. This is another miracle is going to happen. You guys, this coalition talks, etc., etc. And in order for a particular entity to get in, they want the PA. And knowing your president, they say, listen, let's agree on this guy being the president of the country. That's the one thing. Other thing, here in the Western Cape, you guys get significant numbers. The other parties, some of the other parties get significant numbers as well. You guys can do a deal, and there's an agreement, etc. Possibility the PA can become the premier as well. What's going to happen?
That's not a difficult one. Premier and president. I think the president the party would have to make that determination. We didn't have that conversation about that particular
scenario.
That particular scenario. But I think...
But it's possible.
It is possible. But me understanding Gayton's heart, you know, he would go for the position that would benefit the majority of the people.
So it would be, you would go to be president.
Yeah.
And so who's your number 2 on your provincial list?
Our number 2 on the provincial list is Ashley Souls, known as Umbiza.
Is he Umbiza?
Yes. Ashley Souls the first. So
he's a comedian from Joburg.
a former comedian.
Okay.
Former comedian.
But a comedian stays a comedian. Like a lawyer stays a lawyer.
Well, we can also focus on the fact that he was MMC in the city of Johannesburg, and he has done great work. But of course, we can focus on what we want to focus. So he is the second one on the list. And the
Is
Provincial.
he also from Joburg?
He's from Johannesburg.
So how come you guys got, I wasn't going to ask this, but how come you guys got you in the Western Cape? And you got two Joburgers to be your premier candidate in the Western Cape?
Well, John Steiner isn't asked the same question. Why are they coming here?
No, I'm not asking in the context of John Steiner.
No, but I'm answering you. It doesn't matter where you live. We are all South Africans. So whether they come from Eastern Cape and to be here in the Western Cape, it really doesn't matter. The point is, the party made that decision. They've been deployed. They are disciplined members of the party, and they've executed, that particular mandate.
Okay. Who funds you guys? This is my second last question. It's expensive to run this campaign. And I think that you guys are spending much more than any of some of the other smaller parties, with some exceptions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's expensive. It's millions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is your president bankrolling all of this? So then his business must make huge profits. Who funds you guys?
So the president funds us, and the deputy president, Kenny Kunene, funds us. And if you look at the most recent declarations we've made to the IEC, the most recent one was 1,030,000 rand that was declared to the IEC. So that's the two individuals funding us. And we are clear on that.
So no other big business? None?
No other big business. Of course, you rightfully mentioned we almost have 90 councillors throughout the country. Their monthly contributions also contribute to the running of the organization.
So you guys contribute, you as a councillor?
Most definitely. We must contribute, because without the party, how would we have had this particular job? So that is the only two forms of income. We also don't have membership fees.
Okay.
So that is our source of income.
Okay. Cheslyn, thanks. Almost done. Because you're a party for ordinary folk, people from the community and all of that stuff. Give me an indicator. What do you know? What's the price of a tin of jam? Say apricot or strawberry jam. What's the price of that about?
It depends the size and where you buy.
Let's say normal 410.
Yeah, 32.99.
Okay. Yeah, Cheslyn, thanks for coming. We wish you guys well. I trust you found it useful. Talk to your president. We'd like to know about some of the stuff that you couldn't answer. But I'm sure he will listen to this. You'll send him the link and all of that stuff.
Most definitely.
But all the best for the last leg of the campaign.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to the listeners for watching this.
Yeah. People, we are we doing the feel good moment? Yeah, with Rod's Views, I always have a feel good moment, not because we talk about heavy stuff and so on. So this is a bit of a bittersweet feel good moment, because somebody that used to be my lecturer when I studied law, she taught me Roman Dutch law. Prof. Yvonne Mogoro, she was a justice of the Constitutional Court. So she was laid to rest today. The reason I say it's a feel-good moment is because of the nature of her contribution to South Africa. It was good to have known her, and the caliber of the tributes that were given to her from the judiciary and from the president, the Chief Justice, the Deputy Chief Justice, and all of her colleagues. So I feel good that South Africa has managed to have people like her, and she was one of the first female judges of the Constitutional Court, and she was the first black female judge on that Constitutional Court. So that's our feel-good moment. Rod's Views will be on Monday. I'll have a discussion around my how I see the who I recommend people should vote for, what they should look out for, and I'm actually going to go public with who I will vote for on the 29th of May. Although your vote is your secret, but I will share who I'm going to vote for. So that's Rod's Views for today. See you guys on Monday on Cape Conscious Media on the Facebook Live and on the YouTube channel of Rod's Views and Cape Conscious Media.
Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Every little thing gonna be alright. Rise up this morning.